are all resplendent in their new kits. They all look pretty handsome, but some of them are a bit ugly on the field, so I'm told. Right, so if we can start off with just introducing you to Steve Burr and his assistants, Alex and Andy. And Steve's going to have a few words before we get on to the Q&A.
Cheers, Ken. Evening, everybody. Thanks for coming along tonight. For the ones who watched the training session, I hope you enjoyed it. It was cut a little bit short, obviously, because of the team photo that we had. But I know that all the boys are ready to get underway. It has been a long pre-season, and when you think that everybody started last week and the week before, the lads have been sort of kicking their heels a little bit. But reasonably pleased how the pre-season's gone. We have got a new squad of players, and obviously one or two from last season. But how we do this season, hey, we're all hoping we do well for you, because I know the club, and I know that if we can get a winning side and an exciting side playing good football, that the gates will come and the people from Stafford will respond. But I think from my point of view, it's getting these boys together and getting a side that we know that will be more than capable of competing at this level. It's going to be tough. We've got a tough start Saturday, obviously down up at Workington, but both Andy and Alex and Paul, we will prepare the lads as best as we can, and then obviously it's down to them to produce for you, the fans. But I'm looking forward to it. If there's any fans here tonight who want to ask any of the boys any questions, you're more than welcome. We've got a little bit of a mixture this season. I brought Luke Jones in, who will be club captain this season, who was my captain at Kidderminster. One or two other lads, like Tom Marshall, who's an experienced lad. Kyle's here again this season with us. But we've also got one or two youngsters, and I would like to say that we got a couple of, well, we brought 3 under-18s in this year, and out of the 3, both Max and Lucas have signed forms with us, which I'm delighted about. They're both 16, they're very young yet, but I know they've got a bright future ahead of them. Strength-wise and that, they'll have to catch up pretty quickly if they get their opportunity, because it is a strong league. But I'm more than happy with the boys that we've got, and obviously looking forward to this season. But and I know from past experience, obviously coming here, it's always been a tough place to come and get points. But and we want that to be the same this season. So. You know, it's a long season, but we're quietly confident of doing well for you, the supporters here. We'll have a better idea, obviously, of how good and strong the squad is when we get underway. Maybe 5, 6, 7 games into the season with how well we start. So that's always a good sort of barometer to see where you're at. But like I say, we're all looking forward to it. I know how much it means to you, the fans, to have a good side here. I know there's obviously looking around the room, recognise a lot from when I was here playing days, and I was talking to Ronnie Reid last night, who sent me a text and wished me all the best. He said, I can't believe it's 30 years ago since he was here. So it made me feel quite old, really. But no, we're looking forward to it, and as I say, we'll hopefully, if I know that these lads here on the backroom staff, if we're excited in the dugout by what we see, I know that you will be as well. So I'd just like to wish you all the best. All the lads who we've got together this season, all the best. And wherever we go, we'll try and win matches. It's not going to be easy, but we'll have a go. So I'm sure you've heard enough of me, and if there's anybody now who would like to ask any questions, myself or Alex, Andy Fern, Paul Haywood, or any of the boys, past and present, feel free to. Thanks very much.
All right, just so you heard, I've no doubt that some of you have got some questions for the manager. So if you just stick your hand up, I'll bring you the microphone. It's not going to be that sort of evening, is it? Come on! Okay, Rob.
Hi lads. First of all, to all the new guys, welcome to Stafford Rangers. But my question is actually for the guys that were here this time last year. And the question really is, what's the difference between your preparations this time and your preparations last time, and what makes the difference? Does that make you optimistic, or what? Are you excited, or what?
No pressure.
No pressure.
Come on, Pez.
Who's got that one then, lads?
I will.
Go on, Jack.
Go on, Pez. Give us a song.
Baby, now that I found you, what I'm going to say is professionalism, believe it or not. It's such a stretch from last season, it's ridiculous. Jack will tell you, Isaac, straight away the sessions, the preparing for games, we didn't even do that in pre-season last season. So that's been refreshing, and obviously the contrast with experience with the young lads who are fresh and who are raw. I think it's a great mix, and for me personally, I'm very excited to get going, get started, and I can't wait till Saturday. So, what do you think, Jack?
I agree, mate.
Cheers.
And the next.
Yes, one for you, Steve. Goals. 42 matches. If we're going to do well, we probably need 73 or 74 goals. Carl Petty said a few weeks ago he was up for 20. Where's the other 54 coming from?
No, it's a good question. I think if you're going to be successful at any level and with any team, you need people to score goals. And I'm always a believer that if you've got your strikers who, when you pick the paper up on a Sunday and you see them top of the charts, then you're not going to be too far away. But it is important that we chip in from all areas. You know, set pieces, we've got quite a big side assembled, and in the pre-season games we've looked quite a threat from set pieces. But I want my midfielders to score, I want my fullbacks to score, I want the defenders to score from set pieces. So all round, but it is important that you get your main strikers putting the ball in the net. And when Kyle said he was going to score 20, I said, is that all? But no, I think any successful side, you look around and there'll be somebody who's banging them in, and hopefully we can get that. But obviously chip in from other areas as well. It's important. I always set, defenders, particularly centre halves, a target of 10 goals a season each. So from set pieces, and I've had that before from teams I've had. And then if midfield, it's important as well. Midfielders, I've been fortunate over the years. I've had midfielders who have got in amongst the goals. So it's an important part about winning games, isn't it? So, but if we can score more than the opposition, then I'll be more than happy. But thanks, good question.
Next one. Come on.
Ken, I'll throw one into them. Obviously, the last few years, I think a lot of us, and I've spoken to a lot of people in this room, we always played a long ball. Whether we had 6 foot Pezza up front or we had 5'10". Steve, how are we going to play this year? How do you see it? Are we going to play out from the back? Because, as I say, a lot of us here have seen a lot of ball pumped up the middle and where you go. What are your ideas on that?
I think if you ask any supporter, if you won a game, everybody's happy, and nobody probably mentions the fact that you've maybe played with a long ball or tried to play from the back. Everybody nowadays, it's about winning, and I think if you ask anybody who's been involved in non-league who would identify my teams, and that's trying to play, and I do like to play, but there's times when when you can't, you've got to adapt to the situation. I mean, for example, last week, we turned up at Market Drayton, and you couldn't play football on there. So it was a question of just getting it into their half as much as we could and playing the percentage game. But you know, the pitch has come on a lot. There's still a lot to be done to it. It's quite bobbly still down the middle. But I know the boys here, the philosophy that we want to play is, you know, try and play it from the back, but just play with an exciting tempo and excite people. I think that's what I want to see. So how are we going to play? We're going to play the best way we can to win matches. And like I say, I would think that probably 90% of the people in here, if I said we were going to play long ball and we were going to win every week, they'd be more than happy. Or we play from the back and win. But everybody wants to do that. It doesn't always work. But I just want to see lads express themselves. The young lads, the older ones, and I think it's important that you know, the lads. I always say that if you've got a new squad together, it's important that the experienced ones show the younger ones why they've played so long, and obviously the young lads show the older ones why they're being selected to sign a form and be part of the squad. But I think it's one of those really that if you're winning matches these days, 99% of your fans are going to be happy. What do you think, Al?
I think we get carried away with philosophies. Pep Guardiola's coming and playing out from the back, but like the gaffer says, if we go away and play at Barwell like we did with Stalybridge last year, we decided to go and turn Barwell and run channels, and although we lost 1-0, different styles, but you've got to adapt to any situation. So we've got a group of lads there who can play in the right areas, they can receive it in tight areas. We've got defenders who can defend, so as well as blend of experience and youth, we've got all the tools and all the what we think it's going to do well, the cavalry to go and do well in this league.
Okay, Roy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, our sponsors got any questions for the manager? Putting you on the spot here.
Well, ask some of these lots, and I want to hear them speak. I've not heard them speak all summer.
Come on, folks. Don't be frightened of the mic.
Okay, let's throw one into Tom. I'm not taking over here. Tom, you've obviously played a lot of local football and you were here a few years ago. How do you think the feeling is in amongst the squad now from your experience of obviously knowing Stafford and the local teams?
Yeah, I think keeping tabs locally over the last 5-10 years since I've been away, you always get the sense it's a club that's bubbling. I know the last 2-3 years, after suffering for a while, it's barely been back on the up. I think, you know, bringing Steve and now the management team, the players that he has, I think it's ready to kick on again. I think it's in a good place. You know, the lads we've got in, it's a great set of lads as well as a good set of footballers as well. And there's just a really good feel about the place. A lot of optimism. I think the freshness that's been brought in now, as I said, it'll allow the club to kick on again, I think, hopefully.
Good.
Right, come on, folks. Anybody with a question? Yeah, I thought there'd be one at the back. Oh, it is. It's further to walk.
It's actually a question for Ozzy, actually, and I just wonder what you think your best position is, because when you did play last season, you tended to play wide, but I get the sense that you want to play more central.
Ozzy, do we need an interpreter?
To be fair, I'd say the best position is probably top of the left three, but I am willing to give it a go striking this season. Gaff has got faith in me, and I used to play them when I was younger, so I can do a great job there. So yeah.
Just making out of that.
But I have set myself a target this year to score 20, so yeah.
Right, one thing that has been mentioned, we have got a lot of new players amongst the squad this year, so I'm just going to pass this microphone round, and if you'd like to just stand up in turn and just tell the fans actually who you are.
Theo, 24, I'm from Manchester. Starside Gemini.
Single?
Taken. Most of you know me anyway. I'm Alex from Stafford. Played for the club before. 22. Nothing else.
I'm Lucas. 16 years of age. Played for Stoke for 5 years. And I'm from Stoke Cheadle.
Right, I'm Joe. 22. Last club market Drayton. Live in Telford.
John Adams, 33, and delighted to be here. It's hard to top what the lads have just said before me, but looking forward to it.
You already know me, I'm just carrying the flag for Levi now.
Ben Douglas, 20, and last year I played at Brockton.
Max Dixon, 16, living in Litchfield.
Ben Douglas, grandson of Leon Douglas, son of the big coach company down the road that's going to give us free coaches all season.
Alex, just introduce yourself. I know that people know who you are and what have you, but maybe just give them a bit of an insight to maybe some of your happy times in football, because you have been around a while, haven't you, and been at some good clubs. So,
Alex Meakin, 38, from originally Plymouth, live in Widnes in the northwest of England. Started off at 16 at Swindon Town, and moved to Bristol City when I was 18 and spent 4 years there. And then I played non-league for Forest Green Rovers, visited here many times, didn't really do well here as a player. It was always very hostile. You always had a couple of thousand fans and I got the odd shout of Pinocchio and things like that. I didn't mean that. And then I had a good few stints at Forest Green, and I ended up signing for a manager called Gary Hill at Dagenham and Redbridge. I think you all might remember him. Didn't have a good time there and kept moving on and on and on. Played at conference level for a number of years, and I got into management assistant at Telford when I was 32. And looking back in hindsight, I could have maybe played a little bit longer at the time, because I didn't score enough goals, but I was always very fit. And looking back now, sometimes I think, should I have played a little bit longer, because people say to you, play as long as you can. But to be honest, at 32 and then the last 3 or 4 years of my football career, I sort of fell out of love with playing. And I did want to go around the coaching route, so I did my badges quite early. And then I had a good stint at Barrow with Darren Edmondson, where we won the Conference North and we stabilised the club from it going to nearly extinct. And I think we left there when they were 12th in the conference. And then since then I've obviously been with Steve, and I played for Steve, and we had a great stint at Stalybridge, probably one of the best moments of my career there, because I remember leaving York City and signing for Steve and turning part-time for the first time and having to get a job and being in the real world, and play for Stalybridge. And I think we went 14 games with 14 wins on the spin to get into the playoffs, and we lost at Burton Albion, was it, Fernie? Yeah. 1-0 to, ironically, Barrow, who would end up going to assistant manage. And yeah, I had some good times in football, but one thing I'd say to definitely Lucas and Max is there's so many downsides that you have to be so strong. There's so many people's opinions that matter, and so many politics in football. I'd like to be known as not being nice for being honest rather than being a liar, and that's my motto as being a part of the management. I'd rather be honest with someone and not be liked than lie to someone and not be liked that way. So, but as I say, I'm looking forward to the challenge. I know that it means the world to you lot, and I give everything into every training session, and I expect the lads, I expect high standards of the boys, even though I like a bit of a laugh myself. But yeah, the standards will be good, and they'll be high, and there'll be intense training sessions, and we'll be ready to go this year. That is for sure. So There you go. I ain't paying your gas eyes to sleep, have I?
Hiya, Andy Fern, slightly older than Steve but more hair. Started at Manchester United in the 70s as a season ticket holder, and then moved down to the Midlands in 77, played local Midland combination football, and then went into management with Steve in 2000 at Nuneaton Borough, and basically worked with Steve in scouting role and assessment role, and then assistant manager for many years, and probably had my greatest game on Wythenshawe Park, pitch 21 in about 1976, I think. It was devastating, but you know, it just didn't work out. And answering your question before on the goals, because I thought it was a very great question, because Kyle did say 20, but Ozzy's told me he was going to score 54, so something's wrong there.
Paul Haywood, goalkeeping coach, came to the club 2 years ago under Neil Kitchen. Previously played for the club quite a few years ago. First met Steve when we played together at Ensford. Won promotion at Ensford that season. Got to the Welsh Cup final as well. Decided to call time on playing career at the age of probably 40. When I probably should have carried on a little bit longer. The legs were still fine, but decided to go into coaching, and I've been coaching ever since. And I've really enjoyed it, and the buzz around the place amongst the lads this season, far better than it has been the previous 2 seasons I've been here. The management style, a lot better. You can hear from the touchline that the players are encouraged to play, and that'll be the big difference this season, more than anything.
Tom Marshall, wrong side of 30 unfortunately now. It's my second stint at the club. I only played a couple of games a few years, 3 years ago maybe. Centre half, moonlighting as a bass guitarist as well with the big man over there. As you can hear by his singing, I have to back him up a little bit as well. Been on the conference for years, but he didn't kick it.
Josh Green, 23 from Telford. Delighted to be here and obviously to get going.
Sam Coulson, 22, centre half. Last season was with Tamworth, which wasn't great.
Lewis Banks, 21 from Stone, bit of a utility man. Billy Reeves, 21, and I'm Welsh.
Luke Jones, I'm 31 unfortunately. Centre back, as you know, originally from Blackburn up north, but I've been down in the Midlands now probably 7-8 years. As the gaffer touched on, I was with him at Kidderminster, and obviously come across him, playing against him many times, know all about the gaffer. Delighted to be named captain of such a good club. I'm looking forward to leading the boys, and I think looking at the squad we've got, like we've touched on, the gaffer's touched on, there's some really good talent, and they've all wanted to sign for this club for a reason, and I think it's now just about the boys under the guidance of the management finding the way to gel together. Obviously pre-season's probably dragged on a little bit, like we've touched on, because other teams have started, but now we just want to get going. We're itching to start for you, and like we say, we'll do everything we can to try and take 3 points in every game, however that may be.
Lou Briscoe, back for a third spell. Been around a bit, but yeah, happy to be back here and hoping for a successful season.
Thank you. You know us three, don't you? Hi, I'm Kyle Perry, 32, good to meet you lads. Started at Walsall when I was 9 years old, stayed there till I was 18. Wake up.
Right, I suppose now some of the players don't know the supporters, so now we're going to go round the supporters and ask you. No, perhaps we won't do that. Come on, we've got the evening going now. Let's have some more questions. Another one from over here. Who's this one for?
It's regarding two niggles over the years. needless free kicks when the opposition have got a couple of big lads in that kind of last third of the field, and needless bookings for sending off in yellow cards when people run 40 yards to get involved and then get booked. What's your attitude towards that type of situation? Will you clamp down on this, or will you just let the players do what they want?
With the size of some of these players, I don't think the opposition will even threaten them.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm quite strong about because, and we've only touched on it tonight after training because I've had the code of conduct for this season, and I've said to them that I'm reasonable in respect of fines and things like that, but if anybody turns around and get involved in things that really can be avoided, then they're no good to you. And they're certainly no good to you sitting in the stand suspended for 3 games, especially if you know, somebody's turned around and whacked somebody, or they've mouthed off to the referee, foul and abusive language. And I know it's frustrating because I was probably maybe the worst, but it is something these days that, I mean, you can get booked these days for some. I see some of the bookings and I just find them ridiculous. And some of the sendings off, to be honest, but that's the world we are in at the minute. But no, it's important that we keep the 18-20 squad that we have free from being suspended, from not being able to play for you, because, like I say, if they're sitting in the stand on a Saturday, then they're no good to you. If somebody tries a last-ditch tackle and the lad tips it past them and we have a sending off, then that's it. That's acceptable, because at the end of the day there's not a lot you can do about that. At least if they've been genuinely trying to go for a ball and they haven't and they've got sent off, then that's a bit different. But if somebody turns around and whacks somebody, or, as I say, mouthing off at the linesman, swearing at a referee, then, because they're never going to change their mind no matter how much you shout at them. So hopefully the discipline, and I do pride myself on teams that I've had, that we have had good discipline. So hopefully that'll continue here.
Thank you, Steve. And the next?
Where's Levi? Have he signed?
Do you want to answer that?
Levi Reid's not signed, no. He was offered a deal early on in the pre-season and he turned the deal down. So Levi's not with us at the moment. Okay.
And the next? Roll.
I'm only doing this to make Ken walk. This question's really for Lucas and Max. Two questions really. First of all, what are you personally gaining from being around all these guys? And secondly, have you finished your homework yet?
I think we've got a lot to learn from more experienced players that have been here a few years, and I know like the gaffers have been playing football, so I know they can teach me and Lucas a lot. And yeah, I have done my homework.
I feel like I'm gaining a lot, like strength-wise, like in training, like going in for challenges and all that with like stronger lads. I feel like that helps me a lot. Just like the experience thing will pay off in the end. That's it. Yeah, I've done my own.
I'd like to just say that when the young lads came in and they were involved, I said to Mick Baker, who runs the under-18s, I says, send me the best 3 lads that you've got. And when both Max and Lucas got involved, I think they made their debut at Stafford Town, wasn't it? Or it may have been in the Kids Grove game. But speaking to both of them afterwards, I thought they were about 18. And when I heard they were 16, I got quite a surprise. But they're smashing lads, they want to learn, they look at you when you're talking to them, and you can see that they've got that hunger to do well. The beauty of the two lads is that they can still carry on with the under-18s at the minute, so they will get plenty of football. They may not quite be ready for putting straight into our team, but you know, they'll get valuable experience with being around the lads in the squad at the moment. But I'm just looking forward to working with them because they've been super so far, and I'll say take a lot on board. Very polite lads, and they are, for me, they've got a bright future. I don't think I've probably seen a couple of 16-year-olds quite like them, where they've come in and haven't looked out of place in amongst the senior players.
And just one other thing on that is that the under-18s are obviously very well switched on with Steve, because they've switched their matches, which they normally have on a Thursday, to a Wednesday night, with the intention that Steve might be available to go down and have a look at them, or send one of his staff down, and also that the lads that are in the first team squad are not prevented from going to first team training on a Thursday night. So I think that's very good forward thinking from the under-18s. And the next question?
Come on, thank you, Phil.
Just touching on from the youngest players, the Integral League Cup, Staff Senior Cup, Walsall Senior Cup, if we enter that, I'll be likely to see you resting players to give the youth a chance.
It'll probably be difficult to rest players, Phil, because the squad's not that big. But those sort of games will be valuable for us to give the youngsters a go, and maybe lads who have been out of the team a run out. But it's not like that we could make wholesale changes in those games. But those games are crucial in respect that we can look at one or two of the younger lads, or maybe lads who haven't been featuring in the team. Maybe they've been on the bench for a few weeks, and that gives you a chance to look at them. So it does have its purpose.